Hi, good morning. This is Oman Adeki with Noel Software. So today I want to talk about the asset classifications based on roles-based access for asset identities. So in the latest version of VerityBeyond, we have introduced a automated certification workflow. So the idea or the use case is that we're seeing that with a lot of enterprises, they need to be able to manage all their digital and physical assets. And not only to manage them and stand them up, however, in the life cycle of that asset, it's important that we govern the quality and the maintenance and the health of those critical assets. As part of that exercise, it's important to be able to run what we call quality certification reviews for those assets. Now, you can define assets. If you've seen the other demos that we've set up, you can onboard all your assets into your environment using automation, or you can enter the assets manually. As part of that piece, as part of the onboarding process, we also want to be able to specify that a particular asset needs to be auto-run with a specific workflow. Let's think about it. Let's say you have an AWS system that holds, a critical application, or runs a critical application, and you want to be able to specify that every time I do my production support, usually it's like a daily check or a weekly check or maybe even a monthly check on all the key performance parameters of that digital or physical asset. We want to tell the system, every time I run a certification for this asset type, I want you to associate it with this particular workflow. So in VerityBeyond, we've stood up multiple types of workflows, and you can introduce your own custom workflow. There's a CSF workflow, there's a high trust workflow, there's an incident response workflow. So you can set up different types of workflows for different types of use cases. In this case, I have a PCI compliance certification workflow. Let's say the asset had a PCI association, and you had to run some specific controls for that type of asset based on this control. You can auto-associate that class with this workflow. So I'll tell you how to do that in VerityBeyond. So you go into the asset under your certification automation. You go to asset, assign asset class, and then you click on submit. And then here you can specify some default asset classes. These are the out-of-the-box classes or roles for a particular asset. You can also specify your own custom ones. So let's say this is a financial, let's say it's a financial asset for, let's say it's for the reconciliations team. The financial asset reconciliations. These are the people who, at the end of the month, they look at the books and make sure that all the logged expenses and accounts receivable, accounts expenses line up with what's in the bank feed to make sure that there's no big errors. And if there's any errors, they catch it. So again, I'm just thinking hypothetically. So we want to introduce all these systems associated with this department. Will be called this asset class, and we're going to associate them with the, let's say it's the NIST 800-171 workflow. Okay, so that's what this sets up. Every time you have a class, it introduces a new asset class called financial asset reconciliation. You can even associate it to a department, right? Let's say it's the accounts receivable, RCV, okay. Right? You can introduce your own custom asset class, or in the IAM space, we'll call it a role. But in the asset lifecycle space, you can just call it an asset class. So we'll click submit. All right, and then here, let's just pick any of the AWS servers that I have on the system. I have AWS. Let's see, Azure. Okay, so I'll pick up this Azure Lakefront system. So right now you'll see that this Azure system that we onboarded at some point in the history, it currently has no associated workflow with it, and that's because it's using the default class. Now if I tell it, let's associate this particular asset with this workflow, this is what happens. Click on class, you click on financial asset reconciliation. So now we're telling the system, let's associate this class with this particular business unit or this business function. All right. And then next time we go back into the system, I'll do a quick search for that asset. That was an Azure system. You'll see the type is going to be, I'll increase the size. The type is financial asset reconciliation. We just onboarded that. And then when you click here, it's going to auto associate this asset with the associated workflow. So that's pretty much the process. So you can use this tool to stand up different assets and associate them with different departments or different functional roles. And you associate those with those functional workflows. Imagine the power of running your different workflows for your different assigned groups. And that's what the latest version of VerityBeyond does in terms of how we assign assets to specific workflow cases. So I think that's enough for the demo. Thank you so much for your time. You have a wonderful and exciting day. Talk to you soon.